In August 2016, Tite Kubo finished the final page of Bleach, then went straight to the hospital. MRI showed his shoulder tendons were severed, torn from 15 years of leaning his full body weight on his left side while drawing. But the shoulder wasn't even the worst part, because he'd spent a year after that feeling wrong, unable to name what was broken, until it finally hit him. He was lonely. 15 years of characters living inside his head, and then nothing. By the end of this video, you'll understand how a 130 million copy franchise gave its creator a torn shoulder and arguably the most hated ending in shonen history. Before Bleach, Kubo tried to break into Weekly Shonen Jump with a manga called Zombie Powder. It got cancelled after just 27 chapters in 2000, and he later called the whole experience great emotional trauma. Because he didn't know how to talk to his editor, he kept swallowing creative decisions he disagreed with until the series collapsed under him. But then in August 2001, he launched Bleach in Weekly Shonen Jump, and everything changed. The Soul Society arc became one of the greatest stretches in shonen history. Ichigo storming the Seirei to save Rukia, Byakuya, Urahara, Kenpachi, the Gotei 13, and it took off. Alongside Naruto and One Piece, Bleach became one of the 3 biggest manga on the planet, the Big Three. Kubo just went from a cancelled debut author to one of the most important mangaka of his generation. But what kept fans invested, though, was the sense that Kubo was building towards something. His character design was the sharpest in the magazine. His world kept expanding, with every arc introducing new powers, new factions, new layers of Soul Society lore that made the universe feel like it had decades of story left in it. Fans weren't just reading week to week, they were investing in a payoff they believed was coming. Now, most videos will tell you Kubo lost his way somewhere during Hueco Mundo. It's not wrong, but the real story isn't about Kubo losing his way. It's about a system that made it impossible for him to find it again. Because Bleach didn't just become a hit, it became a product. And that's when it all started to go wrong. Weekly Shonen Jump runs on a brutal engine. Reader surveys. Every issue ships with a postcard where readers rank their favorite series, and those rankings decide where your manga sits in the magazine. Rank near the bottom long enough, and you're done. So for Kubo, that meant 15 to 20 finished pages every single week. No weekends, no holidays, no breaks, just draw. And every chapter, he leaned his full body weight onto his left shoulder while he worked, slowly grinding the joint apart, deadline after deadline, year after year. But his body wasn't the only thing coming apart at the seams. By 2012, the pressure hit from every direction. Bleach anime got cancelled in March after 366 episodes. Nearly half of those were filler because the animation ran out of manga to adapt. Japanese TV ratings had collapsed from a peak of 6.7% to below 2%. Meanwhile, Bleach itself reportedly started to slide toward the back of the magazine, which is where declining series go to die. And all of this was happening while Kubo's shoulder was giving out. His body was breaking down chapter by chapter. Yet the system's response to a mangaka in physical decline wasn't to tell him to rest. It was to remind him his numbers were slipping. That's the part that should make you angry, because it only gets worse from here. So the anime was gone. The rankings were falling. Kubo's health was failing. But Bleach volumes were still moving 400,000 to 500,000 copies each. On top of that, games, merch, and licensing still generated revenue. Jump had no reason to stop it.
I've just established contact. They'll be passing by the Bankai precipice world in 10 seconds. They're about to enter the dimensional area. Opening communication lines.
And while his body was breaking, the franchise built on his work continued to generate. Across the run, Bleach had crossed 90 million copies in Japan alone, spawned 4 animated films, and launched 10 stage musicals. Then even after the anime ended, the money didn't stop. The Bleach Brave Souls mobile game launched in 2015 and cleared 95 million downloads. A live-action Warner Brothers movie came in 2018. By 2022, the manga's worldwide circulation hit 130 million. Billions of yen had flowed through the franchise, yet almost none of it was built to flow back to Kubo. Because here's how the money actually works in Jump. A mangaka gets paid a page rate, roughly 10,000 to 15,000 yen per page, plus around 10% in royalties on collected volume sales. And with Bleach numbers, those royalties were real. But anime licensing, merchandise, mobile games, and international distribution all flow to the production and licensing partners. So the franchise grew every year, yet Kubo's share of that value didn't grow with it. And the machine didn't just take more than it gave back, it also rewrote his work. The anime production regularly changed his scripts, and Kubo said it frustrated him so badly it made him physically ill. He eventually demanded to personally review every episode because his name was on the final product. So while the franchise expanded across films, games, musicals, and international licensing deals, Kubo was at a desk with a shoulder that was tearing itself apart while fighting his own production partners just to keep his story accurate. Eventually, Kubo made a call. He told his editors he wanted to end Bleach within 1 to 2 years, and they gave him only one. The 1,000-year Blood War arc was supposed to be the payoff for everything. 207 chapters across 4.5 years, the final arc of Bleach, with the Quincy invasion of Soul Society, the truth behind the Soul King, Yhwach as the ultimate villain, and the resolution of every character thread that had been weaving through the series for 15 years and 686 chapters. But Kubo had 1 year to land all of it. He later confirmed in interviews that entire Bankai reveals, including Shinji Hirako's and Shuhei Hisagi's, were cut because there simply wasn't room. And the real cost of that deadline wasn't just a list of dropped plot points. It was 15 years of promises that never got kept. Take Yoruichi Shihoin, introduced during the Soul Society arc as one of the fastest Shinigami alive. Across 686 chapters, she never once revealed her sword's true name or unlocked Bankai, the ultimate power release that virtually every major character in the series got to show off. Or Urahara, the strategist, who quietly orchestrated half the events of the series, whose exit amounted to vanishing into a collapsing pocket dimension with no confirmation of whether he survived. Two of the most important characters in Bleach, and neither got a proper ending. Not because Kubo forgot, not because he didn't care, but because he ran out of time. And if characters like Yoruichi and Urahara are proof of what 1 year does to the supporting cast, the final fight is proof of what it does to the entire series. Ichigo versus Yhwach, the confrontation the arc had been building toward across 200 chapters, it ended abruptly. Yhwach's defeat was largely shown in flashback and resolved in a handful of panels. No extended climax, no earned weight. The battle that was supposed to define the entire series landed not like a finale, but like a summary of a finale that never got drawn. Then Chapter 686 dropped. Death in Strawberry, a 10-year time skip. Ichigo had married Orihime. Rukia had married Renji. Their kids showed up on panel, and just like that, it was over. The execution was compressed, hollow, and impossible to take seriously after that many chapters of buildup. The announcement teased at the end turned out to be a live-action film, not an anime return or a sequel. And the fallout proved how badly it landed. The Ichihime versus Ichiruki war became one of the biggest fandom meltdowns of the decade, with Kubo receiving death threats and communities fracturing overnight. Not because the wrong couple won, but because 15 years of emotional investment got resolved in a chapter that didn't have the space to earn any of it. Look at how Naruto stuck the exact same landing, same generation, same 15-year run. Masashi Kishimoto delivered a full, extended climactic fight between Naruto and Sasuke at the Valley of the End in Chapter 699, then closed with a complete full-color epilogue in Chapter 700. Bleach got a time skip, a photo album, and a movie announcement. Same era, same magazine, same page count, completely different level of care on the way out the door. Even Attack on Titan, whose ending drew its own backlash, at least gave Izayama additional pages to execute his full vision. And the part that makes all of this so much worse? This wasn't a bad ending because Kubo stopped caring. Every interview after the series ended, he said the same thing. He reached the ending he wanted. He was never pressured by Shueisha to stop. He chose to bring Bleach to a close because his body was giving out, and he pushed through a torn shoulder to get to a conclusion he believed in. He just couldn't fit the landing into the space he had left. The system that spent the entire run extracting billions from Bleach could not extend a one-year deadline to 2. The 1,000-Year Blood War anime was announced in March 2020 and premiered in October 2022. 4 cours, premium production values, and Kubo was brought on as creative consultant, personally designing the Bankai reveals and character resolutions he was forced to cut from the manga because his time ran out. The final cours, The Calamity, premieres this month, July 2026, so the industry found the budget for 4 cours and 6 years of production to fix an ending that 1 extra year of serialization could have prevented. They found the money to animate the Bankai that never made it into the manga. They found the time to build the scenes he always wanted but couldn't draw because his shoulder wouldn't hold. He needed 1 more year to finish the manga, but they said no. Years later, they greenlit 4 cours of anime to go back and fix it for him. Tite Kubo spent 15 years drawing Bleach. He gave the series his shoulder, his health, and every week of his 20s and 30s. Bleach became a 130 million copy franchise, 4 films, 10 musicals, a global merchandise empire. And what Kubo got back was a torn shoulder tendon, a year of loneliness he couldn't even name, and an ending that didn't have enough pages to land. That's what the machine does. It keeps everything the franchise generates and leaves the creator holding the damage.